Hi. This yin style forward bending class is brilliant if, like me, you're a busy person and you're always thinking up the next thing and happy doing jobs, getting stuff done. That we can all of us have this tendency, but some of us have a little bit more of a sense that if something needs to happen, we're the ones that have to do it, and that our sense of self-worth and who we are is very much based on what we do rather than just who we are. So this tendency in us, this overactivity, this need to always do and be seen as the busy ones, can lead to burnout, and it can really be exhausting and create a lot of tension in the body, especially in the back of the body, in the lower back, in the back of the neck and the shoulders. So this class is focusing on forward bending to really help lower the head, slow down the over busy thinking mind, and stretch out the back body, because when we're busy all the time and we're always going into the next activity, the next thing, our body is literally doing that with us, is this physical moving forward. And that moving forward, or this posture of activity, creates a lot of tiredness and tension in the back body. So we'll stretch out these tired muscles and slow down the brain. And you might find it challenging, like you might feel like you just want to do something else, something a bit more. And if you find in your yoga practice that you're actually happier with practices which are quite fast, quite active, that you're always doing something, it's a sign that that's probably happening in the rest of your life as well. So I've had to really work on this myself and really turn towards and practice yin style and practices which are a lot slower to help counteract this busyness in the rest of my life. So let's start lying down. Come onto your back, and just as you start, just check that you have the props you need close by, a strap and 2 blocks. If you don't have 2 blocks, you can use a block and maybe a book around the same size as that block, or 2 books and a blanket. So you can settle yourself down once you've got the bits and pieces you need, and just lie on your back with your hands holding onto your knees. And we'll just stay like this for about a minute, just a really simple releasing position for the back body. So you let your arms straighten, but not so much that you're rounding the shoulders. Keep the shoulder blades on the ground, but just feel this gentle kind of pull of resistance in the arms. Leave the feet just hanging off the ground, and see if you can relax around the groins, around the pelvis, and feel the lower back getting heavier. And just stay here, feeling that very gentle activity in the arms and legs, and breathe into it. And the best way of slowing down a busy person is to slow down the breath. To slow down a busy, overthinking head is slowing your breathing, and just start to look for the spaces, the pauses in the breath, at the end of the exhale especially. A few more breaths like this. Notice how busy your head is today, if you've got a lot going on. And the mind can literally throw up things at the beginning of your practice, like, oh, you should be doing this. This is a really important thing you should be doing. Don't be worrying about yoga. Go and write that book. Go and practice for that, train for that marathon. Do all these seemingly really important things in the rest of your life, when this is actually the most important thing, is to connect with yourself, to slow down enough to feel yourself. One more breath here. And then just let go of the knees. The hands and arms might feel slightly tired there, so just let the palms turn up and arms rest down onto the ground beside you. Take a nice deep breath there. Feel the feet on the ground, feel the back on the ground. Feel nothing happening for a moment, just not doing anything, not doing a position, not doing yoga, not meditating, not doing anything, just for a few moments, just absence of anything happening. And then take your strap and just have it fully open and put the feet over the strap up in the air and rest the heels against the strap. Hold the strap with your arms down at the ends of the strap so your elbows are on the ground. You can use a long scarf for this as well if you don't have a belt. And just start to straighten the legs. So we're in this L shape, like doing a downward dog but lying on the ground, and really feel the back, feeling this comfortable support, this settling. If you have very tight legs, tight hamstrings, you might feel your legs are pulling away in this direction. And if that's the case, bend the knees a bit more, so you want your thigh bones to be horizontal, even if the shins are a bit of an angle. Try and get the thigh bones horizontal and just create a little resistance there in the heels. If you can get vertical legs, do that. And we'll just take a few breaths here where you're feeling the hips sinking. Feel a gentle pushing in the heels. And this is starting to open up the back of the legs, which I'm sure you can feel happening. So another few breaths there. And again, notice if you're trying to do something with this, if you're trying to maybe push further into a stretch, if you're trying to get somewhere. And in this class, what I want you to do is just assume some of these positions and don't try and get anywhere. Just be in them. Just let them be what they are as they are. Another breath there. And then from here, bend the knees a bit, release any tension in the legs, and then just stretch out your legs so you have this big, wide position in the legs. A bit of a bend in the knees, and hold the ends of the strap up close to the feet so your arms are now in the air and they're straightening. And just press the heels into the straps. See if you can sink your sit bones down, your heels into the strap, bum on the ground, back of the head on the ground, shoulders down, and take a few breaths here. See if you can just be in this place, in this maybe slightly awkward tension, this feeling of resistance, and breathe into it without doing anything about it, without changing it, just feeling it. A few more breaths. And then bend the knees, slide the feet in again. And then get rid of the strap and hold your feet in happy baby. So bend the knees deep, reach, and if you can't get hold of your feet, grab your ankles or shins and just pull your legs towards you like that. Otherwise, reach and grab the outside edges of the feet. Bend the knees really deeply. And what I want you to try and do here is really sink the back into the ground. So we're not rounding and hunching. You're sinking the back down. And this will give the back a really nice reset and start to work on releasing the tension in the back body. So a few slow, deep breaths here. We won't stay here too long, just long enough to really feel into the tightness in the hips. Breathe into it. And don't try and fix any tightness. Don't try and change anything about what's happening in your body. Just noticing it is plenty, is perfect. Another breath there. And then release your legs down. Extend the legs, stretch them out, stretch your arms out and have a big stretch there. Deep breath in. And then just bend the knees, step the feet onto the ground and hold the back of the head. So you're holding the head. And then on the exhale, lift up and draw your head into your chest. Squeeze the breath out. And then inhaling, lower the head down. And as the head goes down, press the elbows down and let the back arch so you get this almost cat-cow thing happening in the back here. So exhaling to go up. Inhaling to lower down, elbows on the ground, chest arching up. Do a couple of these, and we're just trying to stretch out the back of the neck very gently. Don't overdo it. Again, there's all sorts of things we can notice if we're in a kind of overactive, overbusy person, which is very much yang energy, very more the masculine energy, the sun, the heat, the hot, the doing energy in life. Is that what I've noticed in myself when I'm kind of in that very yang state is I push myself, and physically in my practice, like now, I could feel I might push myself a bit further than my neck is comfortable with. So I'm having to really learn to not push past my limits, not try and push myself too hard, and just be where I am, just feel into the sensations and let them be, let myself just be as I am today, which is quite a challenge. Leave it there. Take a nice deep breath, bring your hands to your belly, and again, just rest for a few moments of not doing anything, just feeling, breathing. And these moments of stillness are really where the practice is at. It's where it's most precious, most effective, is us stopping. So from here we'll do a little bit more, coming up and rolling up or rolling to your side, and come over onto all fours. You can just roll over and come to child's pose. And in child's pose now, we're just going to bring a bit of weight to the head, to the forehead. So rest down onto your mat, resting the forehead onto the mat, rest the elbows onto the ground, and then when you get there, I'd like you to try just rolling along the forehead from across the hairline, across the eyebrows to the temples, to literally roll. I'll show you there. Just simple rolling movements. And as you roll from side to side, imagine that you're massaging the front of the brain through the skull, as if you could actually do that through the skull, massage the brain. And it's the front of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, that is our very thinking, very much our most mature adult, right next thing. It's where language and a lot of our sort of considered intelligence, rationality, problem-solving brain is. So that very thinky brain in the front of the head, and this is where we can get those sort of pressured headaches, very hot in the front of the head when we're thinking too much. So rolling, and you kind of have that very frowny head as well from thinking. So rolling that out, smoothing it out, and then roll from top to bottom of the forehead. So roll all the way over till you come to the crown of the head, and then roll onto the forehead and press down onto the nose, and just do that a few times as well. So literally massaging the skull, the head, the energy in the brain to bring it to the ground. And then for a lot of the class now, the rest of the class, I don't want you to lift your head up. I'd like you to keep your head heavy. So it's just allowing the sort of a draining out of the tension through the head, through the skull. So coming up now onto all fours, and do cat-cow without lifting the head. So that'll be easy for cat pose. Their chin will tuck under and the head will round. And then in cow pose, don't lift the head but just arch the back and keep the head neutral so you're still looking at the ground. And then exhaling, rounding. So the feeling here is that we're not looking up, we're not looking for the next thing. We're keeping our mind, our gaze very steady, very slowed down, very grounded in the head. Do a couple of those, exhaling, rounding the back, inhaling, arching but not lifting the head. And another one there. And it should feel relaxing, it should feel settling, just to kind of stay looking downwards, almost sleepy, like you don't want to wake up. And then into downward dog with the head really dropped. So when you next do your cat pose there, rounding, tuck the toes, and then let the head stay very heavy as you go upside down, and really hang the head like a ripe fruit between your arms. So hanging upside down there, pressing into the ground with the hands and keeping the knees a little bit bent so you release the tension off the back. Let the head dangle. Really press the ground with the hands. Reach the hips up and back. Take another breath there, really upside down. Letting the breath come and go in slow, deep waves. Heavy head, slow brain, slow thoughts. Come back down onto the knees, and we're going to do downward dog here with a block under the head. So we're going to bring the head onto the block. The hairline now is going to press. So you want to bring the you might need 2 blocks for this. See how you get on with one up at its highest height. And then as you go back, you'll feel your head sort of misses the block there. So you have to move the block down with one hand on the ground. So try and find your downward dog as you, with the other hand, slide your block down until it's under your hairline. And then press the ground with the hands and see if you can let the head become really heavy, the hairline now on the block. As we let all this busyness drain out of the body, you might feel able to lower the block down to its medium setting and put the hairline there. That's quite low, so see how you get on. And if you feel like you want to go a bit lower, if you separate the hands and the feet further apart, you'll find you can go a bit lower, but it's just a deeper stretch. So I'm just going to keep you there for another few deep, long breaths. So slowing down, slowing the breath. Right to the very end of the exhale. Feel the arms getting a bit tired. Keep that gentle press in the hands and the arms, the reach in the hips. Another breath. And then slowly coming down onto your hands and knees, moving the block out the way, and step the right foot forward, ready for a lunge here. So step the right foot, and we just bring both blocks now. So grab one block with one hand, the other, and take the block onto its low edge. So it's it's a medium edge there. And then slide the back knee back so you're sinking down, and your hands are just underneath your shoulders, sinking down, making sure that the front knee is just above the front ankle so there's no pressure building in the knee there. And see if you can let your body sink, let the hips sink. Keep the head nice and low so you're not trying to do a full back bend here. You're just letting the hips open up a bit more. You can even round the back forward a bit if you want to and let the head descend a bit more. Another few deep breaths here, feeling in the hips. What's there? What's your body saying to you? What can you become more aware of? And your body is always giving you messages, and if we're overdoing it, our body will let us know. It's just, are we willing to listen? It's a hard message to have to hear, to say stop. When our body tells us to stop, it does that through maybe literally putting the brakes on, making us feel pain, so we can't move, we get sick. And that's our body's way of saying, you're just doing too much, you need to stop. And so if we can listen, if we can go with that, go with the situation, the symptoms, and let go into it, we'll recuperate, we'll recover, we'll heal. And then pull the hips back. Let's take a half splits here. So this is a really good forward bend, and it really opens out the back of the hamstrings, the back of the legs, the back of the hips. So you're folding down. And as you fold down, see if you can bring your belly onto your thighs, so sinking down there, moving the blocks out to the sides a little bit more. And if you want to, just come onto your hands or fingertips if the blocks aren't needed. And just fold down over your front leg. Keep the front knee a bit bent. Stick your bum out and don't over push it with your hamstrings. Dig the right heel in a little bit so you've got good resistance. And then just meet the edge, meet the tight spot, and see if you can breathe into it. Without changing it, without doing anything, just being here, letting go a bit more, letting the head drop down a bit more again. If you feel like that dropping of the head feels really good, you can always bring one hand onto the leg and rest your head on your hand, or just rest your head straight onto your legs. So let's see what feels good head-wise, letting the head dangle. And then from here, bring your right hand onto your block again and take the left hand over onto the outside of the right foot. So a little bit more resistance, folding over the right leg a bit more, taking a deeper forward bend. This is really opening out the
the tension in the back of the hips now. So again, slowing down, try not to overdo it. Keeping the breath deep and long and open. Relaxing in the shoulders. Notice if your shoulders hunch up, trying to do this. Relax them, sink down. And then letting that go. Bending the knee. Open up. Keep the head looking down in that lunge and then pull back. We'll come into downward facing dog. So from all fours at first, press the hands into the earth. Drop the head completely and go up into downward dog with the head hanging. So upside down, nice and long stretch there. Try not to move too much. See if you can settle into stillness. Remember what it felt like having the head on the block, sinking down, and just be still. Just feel what's happening. Slow, deep breaths. And then bring your knees down. And then you're going to come into the lunge on the other side. So grab your blocks to help you and step the left foot forward into the lunge. As you come forward, bring your hands underneath your shoulders on the blocks. And then you can use fingertips. So if you don't have blocks, it's fine. Just use fingertips here. But it's nice to have that extra support. Keep the eyes looking down, the shoulders sinking. And just start to feel the big opening happening through the groins, through the pelvis. Notice where you're feeling that. So there's so many medicines and things, ways in which we can suppress symptoms in the body. So conventional medicine has so many ways in which we get sick. Our body tells us we're overdoing it, and then we can actually just keep going. So like cold and flu medicines have caffeine in them to give you this false sense of energy, so that you can keep going. Whereas actually what you need to do is feel tired. You need the tiredness to help you just stay in bed and sleep, which is the best healing. So if we keep using suppressants and ways of avoiding the sensations and the messages from our body, we'll never really get a chance to fully rest, fully heal. And sometimes sickness is actually the best medicine of all. Sickness is the best healing because it actually forces us to stop, to give in. It's just hard. It's just painful medicine. It's painful messages to have to learn to respond to. So see if we can learn through this, learn in a more comfortable way of just kind of coming to a practice which helps us to slow down a bit more and listen to our body. So coming into that half split, so opening the hamstrings, stick your bum out, draw your chest forward and fold down using the blocks, maybe move them out to the side a bit more, come onto the blocks on fingertips or just move them out the way, which I'm going to do, and fold down. And try and get your belly onto your thighs, sticking your bum out, bending your knee and give the heel a little dig in. So you're digging in and folding forward and folding down into the sensations. And imagine here if you have these sensations, these feelings in your body, and there was a pill or something you could take to just not, so that you didn't have to feel this. So you didn't have to feel this sensation and you could just keep going, go way further and ignore your body's message, which is essentially saying that's far enough. You need to stop now. If you go any further, you're going to hurt yourself. So luckily enough, we don't have that pill. So you have to listen. You have to just stop where your body's telling you to stop. And bring the left hand out, bring the right hand over and hold the left foot and fold in. But it's an uncomfortable message, isn't it? That feeling of tightness, discomfort, a feeling of resistance is often uncomfortable for our brain, which just wants to keep going. So can you respect this edge, respect this stopping, breathing, feeling? A few more deep breaths there. Just being in it, just being in this situation, being in this moment, being in this breath. And then slowly releasing that. Taking your left foot underneath your body and another downward dog. Keep the head hanging down again and dangle upside down with a really heavy head. Folding in, press the hands, little bend in the knees. Deep breath. And then from here you're going to step forward. It doesn't matter, 1 foot, just stepping between the hands, and you're going to fold over into a wide-legged forward fold. So from here you might want your 2 blocks again, and we're going to try and get the head down onto the blocks in this position. So go really wide with the feet, but keep the little toes grabbing the ground so you're not collapsing onto the inside edge of the feet. And you're also not rolling onto the outside too much. You've got the big toe and the little toe both on the ground. Then start to come down. So blocks, both of them flat down, and try and get the head down there. You might need to tip 1 block up onto its edge to find the hairline. And like we did in Downward Dog, can you put your head onto the blocks and then sink down here and really let the busyness of the brain, that hot, heady energy drain out through the head, sinking down. Keep breathing, feeling that big opening through the back of the legs. A few more breaths here. You might be able to lower down a little bit more, reduce the height of the blocks. If you feel ready to go a little bit deeper, do just a few more slow, deep breaths here, feeling where you are, feeling this edge, feeling this moment. Okay, we're going to come up to standing in Goddess, but keep the head and the eyes quite low, so head hanging down. Bend your knees, turn your toes out to about 45 degrees and bring your hands up onto your knees. So just looking at the ground in front of you, and then let the shoulders hunch up around the ears so your bum is dropping. And it's like a little kind of reversing tortoise or telescope being wound up, so you sink down into yourself. Shoulders up around the ears, just drop down. So your head is coming back into your body, sinking the heels, sinking the tail. Take a breath here, and then slowly from Goddess down into that forward fold again, slowly folding forward, really slow movements, heavy head. Bring your head a little bit lower now if you can, maybe move one of the blocks. Come down a little bit more. Exhale. We're going to come into a squat now, a different squat where the feet are closer together. So walk your feet in, just heel toe them in, and then bring one of your blocks underneath you like a little seat, and you're going to sit down on it. So tail down, sit bones onto the block. Again, keep the head kind of lowish and eyes low so you're not sort of waking up too much. And hold your knees, and then just a little cat-cow here. We just want to start to move the back muscles a bit more. These forward folds. So inhaling, draw the chest forward, but keep the eyes low. Inhale, exhaling, rounding the back, tucking the tail. Inhale here. And then from here, you're going to bring the block down another notch. See if you can sit a bit lower. And then what we want to try and do is get our bum onto our blanket. So move the block and put your bum down onto your blanket, edge of the blanket, just under your sit bones, and see if you can sit in your squat here and open up the chest. Deep breath, hang on to the knees with the elbows, and then straighten the right leg out, extend the right leg, and keep the left foot standing on the ground. So we're going to go into a deep forward fold here and really stretch out the back. So from here, turn away from your bent knee, putting your left elbow against the left knee, and push and twist and start to turn towards the straight leg. And then from here, let the left hip lift up. So you're bringing all your weight on that blanket onto the right sit bone and the hip. Let the left hip lift up and slide the left arm down the right leg. We're aiming to reach to the foot, but again, don't rush to get to the foot. If you feel like you're really trying to get there, then let it go and just hold the leg, and that's plenty. And you can bring the fingertips to the ground as well. And then let the hips lift a little bit as you fold down, so you'll feel the pressure in the right sit bone, left hip floating. Fold down and see if you can get your head to come just towards the knee. You can always put your block actually on your leg if you want to rest the head on something. And that can feel nice at any height there. So the forehead gets another little rest. sinking down. A few breaths here. And then what can also feel nice is to take your hand right across. If you're able to grab your foot, take your hand across and fold in and pull a little bit deeper. We don't want to pull too much because it's a big stretch for the back, but you can start to feel the ribbons of tension in the back stretching out further down, sinking down, and then slowly coming back up, sliding your hand back up your leg. Keep the head relaxed, eyes down, slide and stretch out the other leg. Step your foot in, and we'll take this forward bend on the other side. So bring your right arm inside the knee, push the knee out, sitting up really tall, keep the eyes low. And then from here, start to roll forward. And as you roll, let the right sit bone lift and the left hip get heavy, folding forward. And start to round the back, so we're stretching all the way along the spine, really rolling down. And maybe if you want a block for the head, you can rest it there. Once you get used to this feeling of the head dropping its tension, it can feel really comforting. And then if you feel able to, you can reach your hand for your foot. And again, don't overdo it because it's a big stretch. It can create more tension if you overdo it. So just reach for the foot. And if you have the foot, you can pull a little bit, really stretching along the spine. Rolling down. Feel all that tension in the back. Breathing into it, not trying to change it or fix it, but just really feel it and create some space there, some openness, space and awareness. Exhale. And then slowly rolling back up. So we're going to come up to that standing forward bend once more. See how you get on here. So come back up onto the feet, tip over, and then step your feet really wide again. And folding down, and then a little bit like we just did, but over straight, both straight legs. So turn to the right leg again and see if you can grab the right foot or the right ankle with the left arm. And just hold the hip or hold the leg with the right hand and then fold in. And this time I want you to rest the left side of the head on the left arm. So the left arm is acting like a little hammock for your head to rest on. So if you're holding the outside of the right leg with the hand, it'll still work. Just let the head hang and rest in that hammock of support as you fold in. Can you bend both knees a little bit? And now pull the outer left hip up and back. So we're really extending through the whole back body. And just 2 or 3 deep breaths here. Let the head go. And then slowly coming back and to the other side. So you're going over to the left leg. And if you bend the left knee deeply, then bend the right knee as well. So you want both knees to bend around the same amount. And then hold the foot, ankle or shin with the right hand. Take the left hand out the way or onto the leg. And then let your head rest on your arm like you're sleeping. So your head is having a little sleep. Your body's getting a good stretch. You're dangling, both knees bending. And see if you can rest here. Can you rest into your edge, rest into the tension, really getting sleepy, slow, deep breaths. So we're trying to switch off the workingness. We're slowing down the busyness. Another breath. And then slowly come back. And then from here, draw the feet in and just slowly come down to squatting back on that blanket. So sitting down on your blanket. And then from here, bring the feet in. So you're sitting on your blanket with the feet in to Baddha Konasana. And keep, again, the head, eyes heavy and low. Hold the feet and then folding over. So this is a deep forward fold. And you'll feel a lot of tightness in the knees and inner thighs and pelvis. And a big stretch in the lower back. So going down, folding in. And again, the blocks can be helpful here. You bring your feet maybe just far enough forward so that your toes are under your forehead. And then if you want to, you can always put the block on your toes and rest your forehead on the block. So just find your right sort of position, maybe feet forward or back a little bit until you find your optimal position there to feel the back stretching, feel the legs stretching. And again, this sense of what I want you to feel here is that there's lots of opening happening in your body, lots of sensations in your body. You're listening to your body, but your head is kind of going to sleep. The active, busy brain is switching off and slowing down. Take a little bit longer there. And rolling up, calming up. And then we're going to just stretch out the legs. So I'm going to turn around because we'll be lying down in Shavasana next. And in this position, you could sit up on your blanket platform still, which is nice. And we're going to do a full stretch now of the whole of the back of the body. And this is called stretch of the west. So you're folding down over the legs, straight legs. But the tendency here can be to really round the upper back. But where we're going is trying to bring the belly onto the thighs. So if that means the knees need to bend for the thighs to come up to the belly, that's absolutely fine. So we're not rounding the shoulders. So keep the spine long, tip from the hips, and you can always bring the hands out to the sides to help that happen, tipping over. And when you feel like you can't hinge at the hips anymore, then just get longer in the spine like this. Telescoping is happening through the spine, out through the head, and then let the head sink down, folding down, and letting the arms release down alongside you, elbows down, just going as deep as feels comfortable here. And if you feel like you're up here and there's a very long way between your head and your legs, that's absolutely fine. Keep hinging from the hips, keep the head heavy, and just go to where you get to. There's nothing to achieve here. There's no place that we're trying to get to. It's just to get to your edge, to get to this place where you feel yourself. You feel that, well, now I can't go any further. And when you get to a place where you realize that you can't go any further, can we be there? Can we accept that? Can we listen to that and not fight it? Because that's often what happens when we get sick or our body gets damaged, something's going on, is our body is saying, you need to stop, you can't go any further. So can we be okay and more comfortable with that experience, to not try and push through it, to take medications that suppress these pieces of information, this knowledge in the body that enough is enough, that's far enough. Another breath there. And one more for luck. Slowly coming up. And then just lying down. So just move the hips towards the feet. And then lie down on your back. And you can put the blanket over you or under your head, whatever you need. Or just simply lie down and stretch out the legs in Shavasana, and see how that feels through your body now, all those shapes, all those sensations. Letting the back of the body feel the ground now, feel the support. If you're more comfortable with the knees bent and the feet on the floor, you can take that position as well, which is nice for the lower back. Notice how your body's feeling in this moment, and if you can pick up on any information, any sensations, any messages from your body of tiredness, of tightness, of enjoyment, of sensation, see what's there. Just learning to listen. Learning not to push, learning to receive, to be open, learning how to stop. Just a few more breaths. You're Doing so well, resting, settling, being in the stillness is the real medicine. So if you feel able to spend a bit longer in Shavasana, if you do have a few more minutes, then I highly recommend resting now. It might be the preventative so that you don't get sick. You know, just literally stopping for longer each day means that maybe you'll feel more healthy for longer as well. So it's preventative medicine for sickness, giving yourself time to stop. But if you've kind of know that you need to, there's other things that need to happen, that you've done your practice for today, then really check that. Can you give yourself a bit longer? And if so, do just at the video end and just take as long as you can here, resting for as long as you can get away with. Otherwise, coming up. Just take a few moments wherever you are to witness yourself, to give yourself the acknowledgement and the gratitude, the thanks for making time to practice when it can feel like there's so many other more important things to do. When deep down you know that this has so much value, is so much more important in some ways because it allows everything else to happen. This time you're giving yourself creates time and allows you to connect with your life, with your world in such a grounded and complete way. So well done for that. Thank you for your practice. Namaste.